Still a little hard.
She's steady. You just help somebody because you help me too. What you got? Well, hello, everyone. Ta-da! Happy Monday. Listen, I'm super excited about this Morning Monday because guess what? It's been a long time since I have had just me. I've had so many guests over these past year and a half of doing almost 2 years of Mom Monday, and I haven't had an opportunity really to kind of let you guys know what's going on with me and my family and all the things that are happening. And so I figured tonight would be the perfect night to just share some things with you guys. So I'm excited just to take a deep breath and just share. Okay. So I want to start with transition because we have moved to Alabama. We originally were in the state of Georgia. And I know that a lot of you all who are watching were watching from all over the place, but many of you from Atlanta. And so my family has up and moved. My husband got a new job. And so we are now living in Alabama. It's different. It's different. There are a couple of things that have been really different. I know my dollars. I count my dollars. Budgeting is important. So it's been a lot because, I didn't expect. I mean, let me not say wouldn't. I did not expect for the prices of food and things like that to be so different here. Being in Atlanta, there's this central hub, and you have access to things, and resources are abundant because we are in this place where people come and go often, and we have access, with the main airport and things like that, where things are just readily available to us. And so you don't realize, I've seen all of the pictures and things on social media that people have posted about, not being able to get food and have access to things. And if you're not immediately impacted by it, sometimes you don't realize the impact that it has. And so being here, I've seen the empty grocery shelves and grocery stores, and it's been such a blessing because since being here, even my mom was so gracious to just drive down groceries so that we can have all the things that we need. Now, it doesn't mean that everything here is just completely scarce, but there's a certain way that we eat. There's certain things that we consume that we're not able to find. One, because people here aren't like trying to live a healthy life all the time. So some of the things that we were consuming, plant-based items and things like that, they just don't have here, in the grocery stores near me just don't sell them. They're like, well, if you tell us what you want, we can try adding it to the store inventory. I'm like, okay, but I haven't seen them just yet. So I'm blessed to have the family that I do have who, steps in. They're like, hey, what you need? What's going on? What do you need? And so I'm super grateful for my mom and my family who are just like, okay, we're gonna mail you some stuff. We're gonna send you some stuff in the mail. I feel like I'm deployed all over again. But it's definitely different. Just being in a new place. A lot of times people think that adjustments when you have transition are hard on the kids. Well, we homeschool. So the transition for the kids wasn't, a super big deal. Like a few days before we got ready to move, my daughter asked me if I had told her best friend's mom that we were moving. I was like, no, I said, but I can send her and text her. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, just text her and let her know we're moving. So, you know, wasn't necessarily a big deal for them in that area because we homeschool and they didn't have like a lot of extremely close friends. The transition though was more so difficult for me. I think that sometimes as adults we wash over our space, especially if you're a parent. Sometimes we wash over that space of or move quickly past things because we, want to draw the attention to the kids or focus on them. But this particular transition has been a little challenging just because, the resources and things like that. My family's in Georgia, so being away from my family is hasn't been a big deal. There's FaceTime, there's Google Duo, things like that, so we're able to connect. And I've been away from my family many times before, so that part of it isn't as difficult as just adjusting to, me now being the person to not have friends. And I still have my friends, but we would get together, like, because their schedules are busy and the things, we would get together, and grab a quick dinner or whatever. It's a little more challenging when, oh, we're 2.5 hours away, and it requires a little more work, a little more planning. But we've only been here a few months, so we'll make some arrangements there. But I think it's important for parents to, just realize that, you have to make room for yourself too, because sometimes we don't do that. We try to place the attention on the kids and make sure they have what they need, and have what they desire, and then we don't make room for ourselves to feel whatever it is that we need to feel. And that's where the being overwhelmed can come into play. And I know for me, like, especially when you start thinking about this lane, anxiety and depression, and things that trigger you and put you in a certain space, just being able to speak my truth about where I am or how I feel or what's going on, um, is really important. And so I've had my moments where I'm like, I don't know if I like this, but um, it's definitely growing on me, and I have to make the choice to, step out and expand my reach and, explore things. And so, um, my family, we love the Lord, and, we have found a church home. And I think that that has helped out a lot, just having my church home. And um, because of the pandemic, we had not been to in-person church in almost 2 years. And so we got the opportunity right before Christmas last year, since being here, to actually go to in-person church. And my, oh my, I was just like, man, it's been so long since this happened, Um, and the kids needed to, just having the opportunity to grow closer to God amongst other children who are choosing God and wanting to be closer to Him. And so I think that that's really important. That's the thing that keeps us grounded. And, I can't personally speak even to what grounds my children. They have different things, my husband. But for me, I know that, having access to, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can worship right here in my house. I've done it many a time. Okay. But just having the community of people to grow with and connect with. And we just recently started small groups. And so having that opportunity to connect with other parents, other women in the church, just all those different areas, it has been um, a really big blessing. And so it was great because we had just moved here. We moved here right around Thanksgiving, around that time. And so we did Thanksgiving, and I had a friend who lives here, one of my best friends who lives here um, in Montgomery, where we are. And she came over and, just fellowship with us, and that was really good. And then for the holidays, a few days before Christmas, my family came down. I know some of you probably saw pictures on social media, and so I was just so glad to have my family down, and have them to kind of um, be a part. And so one of the other things that has happened since I've been here is I broke my first bone. I've never broken a bone my whole life. I've never broken anything. I've had lacerations, cuts, bruises, all kinds of stuff, but I've never broken a bone. And so I recently broke my toe. Someone told me that that's one of the worst things to break because there's not really anything you can do about it. And now I know why they said that. Now I know why they said that. And so, it's definitely different. So, Ebony, how did you break your toe? You know how you always tell your kids to pick their toys up off the floor? I tripped over. So my children share like a keyboard. They have a keyboard, and the keyboard comes with a microphone. Well, the microphone has this cord that plugs into the keyboard, and the microphone was in the floor, and I began to trip over the microphone. Well, I might not have broken my toe if last November, well, was it November? It might have been October. I was trying to keep my 2-year-old from running into a parking lot with cars at the playground, and I tripped over a beam and severely sprained. And when I say severely, almost broke my right ankle. And so I'm still building my strength back up in my right ankle. And so when I tripped inside the cord for the microphone, I could not hold my balance or my weight on my right ankle, which is the foot I was tripping in. And I fell foot first into the corner of a wall. Y'all, I think I screamed at the top of my lungs. I think I screamed at the top of my lungs. I just remember saying, "It's broke. It's broke." Ah! Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, if these are my toes, my toe right before my pinky toe was just like, it was just broken. Ugh. I would have put the pictures up, but sometimes people don't want to see that stuff. So not gonna put any pictures up. But it was definitely an experience. By the grace of God, my husband was working from home that day. Working from home. Such a blessing, because otherwise he would have been 30 to 45 minutes before he could get to the house. I would have had to call the ambulance because I would not have been able to drive with the 3 kids home. And we don't really have family here. So, yeah. So thankfully, my husband was home, and he was my knight in shining armor, literally carried me to the car like this in his arms as I wept and cried. Once the adrenaline started rushing, I mean, I broke it. I laid on the couch, breathing like I was pregnant all over again. All over again. He got the kids together, threw some snacks in the bag, and drove me to the hospital. Now, the thing about it is, because of newer protocols because of COVID and stuff, 18 and under, if they're not ill, are not allowed to come in. So I had to go into the hospital by myself and sit there by myself because my husband and the kids couldn't sit there. So I was like, well, so he took them to the playground, and eventually they went back home because it was nothing that they could do. I just had to sit in the hospital by myself. And so I was grateful, y'all. This was one of the most painful things ever. And they had to put my toe back in place. And in order to do so, because at first they weren't going to, they was like, "Oh no, you should be fine. We'll just shift it back over and you should be good." I was like, "Okay." And then she went and looked at the x-rays again, and she came back. She was like, "Miss Walker, we're gonna have to numb your toe because it's really broken." I'm like, oh. So they had to put so this was, yeah, this a good toe. If this was my broken toe, they had to numb me on both sides because I broke it very close. I almost broke my foot. So that's how close I broke it. They say it's 3 different joints, and I broke it very close to my foot. And so they had to put needles here and here in between the toes. Y'all, I hollered. I mean, and I'm very good with needles. I'm very good. Well, let me rephrase that. I didn't holler, but I did a lot of loud, because, you know, but it hurt so bad. It was so painful, y'all. Oh my goodness, so painful. But they put the needle in both sides to numb it and let it sit for a while so they can move it back in place. But the awkward thing about it is you can't numb like this part of the toe, the tip of your toe. And so I could still feel things here. So it's very awkward. It was numb here, but not numb here. You can still feel some of the pain. It's very awkward. But here we are. A few weeks later, almost 2 weeks later. Um, and I'm better. I'm still walking on it. Praise God. No surgery. I don't have to have surgery. That was the biggest concern. Waiting to go to ortho to see if I was going to have surgery. But I went to see the ortho doc and no surgery. But I do have to wear my boot for 4 more weeks. So I don't want to wear the boot, but I'll definitely wear the boot. So because I don't have to have surgery. Amen. Amen. So the broken toe is limiting me. And you know what? I struggle. Let me just be the first to be honest here. I struggle sitting down, being still, not doing anything. I had my husband seeing some chicken and I watched him the whole time, like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Here's the seasons. Okay. But when other people do things for me, I have a bad habit of watching them every step of the way. I was sitting on the couch and he was in the kitchen, but I could still see. So, and sometimes we got to get comfortable with the phrase a way, not the way. And I talk about this all the time because we're so used to things being done the way that we would do them that when people do them in a way that we don't, we think that it's wrong. And it's not necessarily wrong, it's just not the way that you would do it. And so we have to get comfortable, especially when someone is trying to help us. I'm talking to myself, y'all. When someone is trying to help us, we have to get comfortable with, letting them do it the way they know how to do it. They don't have to do it the way we know how to do it. So, broke toe. Oh, okay, wait. I wrote some stuff down, y'all, so I don't forget everything. Um, and so, okay, so something else I want to talk about, and this is a whole different subject. One, y'all know I've been doing devotion in the mornings, Monday through Friday. I do them here on YouTube, and they're also on Facebook. But and it has been such a blessing for me. I have grown so much. Just through the morning devotion, we have been reading through the Bible, walking our way through the Bible, and it has just been so good. I've been it's so funny. The more you dive into the word, you find these bits and pieces of the word that bring you laughter. I mean, you laugh, you cry. There's all the emotions you can experience them through the word of God. And I've just been so blown away, so blessed by the morning devotions and diving into them. And I do prayer and AM wisdom and spirit led prayer with Pastor Melva in the mornings as well, and that's on Clubhouse. And y'all, when I tell you, that's my family, and they have added value to me in so many ways. And it's so important to have a community of people around you that grow you, stretch you in all the right ways in your faith, in the direction that God has designed for you. And I am so grateful for that. I have moments where it's okay for me to be quiet and not say anything, and moments where when God gives me something to say that I can say it. And they're sowing into me, I'm sowing into them, I'm sowing into the nations. And so it's such a beautiful space. And so I would just challenge you to find your space, find your community, find your people that add value to you. Check your circle. When you look around, the people who are connected to you that you spend the most time with, like, what kind of seeds are they sowing into you? And what kind of seeds are you sowing into them? Like, this is a big deal, because if the people you are around most are not adding the most value to you, then, what are you doing? Why are you around them? And I don't care if it's like your mom, your dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, best friend, known them for 20 years, 30 years. If they're not adding value to you, if they're not making positive contributions, if they're not approaching you in love, adding value, if they're not doing that, and it don't mean that they're going to tell you right all the time and you doing everything right. No, 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 no. They should be able to tell you when you're wrong. When you're wrong, correction should not be a problem, but you got to check your circle. Check those people that's around you. Check what you're allowing them to bring into your life. and what they're adding to you. Because I got some friends who they're not here with me, but they still, hey, how you doing? What's going on? They know what's going on with my foot, so they checking in. Hey, do you need anything? I had some amazing friends who, sent food for my family. Because I can't stand up and consistently cook a meal. Like, I could do it, and my foot will begin to swell and things like that. So I have been really, really blessed by family and friends who sent money for food or sent food. Ordered food and had it delivered to my home, or ordered meals and had them delivered to my home. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so blessed for that, because that's what I do for other people. And so I'm blessed to be able to receive even a portion of the seeds that I've sown over time, just through those people who love me. And so, and in this season where I can't do much, my husband has, you know, really stepped in. And, let's talk about marriage for a second, because, it's not an easy thing. A lot of people think that, marriage is this storybook thing, that it's an opportunity for perfection in this thing called life. um some people look at it as like a financial transaction. I just don't want to pay my bills by myself. Let me tell you something. Marriage, like true covenants, people who are believers and walking in their faith, it's way bigger than money. It's way bigger than that. And when you take those vows, sickness and health, like literally being able to step in, step up, help out, do what you can. I'm super, super grateful for my husband. We can, it's plenty of people like, Ebony, oh my God, I love you and Cedric. You guys are so amazing. We've been together. Our marriage, it will be celebrating 10 years this year. And let me tell y'all something, it's not easy. People grow and they change. And, one of the things that I say a lot with the married couples that I work with, I do premarital counseling. I can marry you if I need to. I've been very selective about doing that. But I do premarital counseling, and I do marriage development for people who want to restore or renew or revitalize their marriages. And so one of the things that I tell people all the time is that, when you are going through this marriage thing, when you are choosing one another, you have to decide up front, like what it is that you want, what you don't want, and be open to that, and be willing to understand that, when you fall in love with someone, that they are allowed to change. We are human beings. We evolve, we grow over time. And so what happens is people say things like, well, I don't love them anymore. Of course you don't. You're trying to love the person you met 5 years ago, or love the same person you met 10 years, 15, 20 years, whatever, however many, 6 months, whatever it is ago. And they have evolved, or you have evolved. And you have to make space for that evolution. You have to learn how to fall out of love with who they used to be and fall in love with who they are or who they're becoming. So stop walking around talking about you don't love them. You probably don't. You probably don't love who they were 5 years ago or whatever. Learn to love who they are now. Find what it is that you love about them now. Because that's the thing. They won't stay the same person. You're not the same person. You're just not. If you think that you haven't changed in however long you guys have been together, you are lying to yourself. Okay? I know I have changed. I've changed so much since we met. And so I'm grateful that he has loved me through the transitions, loved me through the learning, through the added knowledge, through the lack of knowledge or ignorance in spaces, wherever those spaces were where I needed to grow. And, we're not perfect people. We're evolving people. We're progressive people. We're not perfect. No perfection, just progression. And so that's what we have to focus on. Folks get married and divorced in a year, 8 months, 2 years, whatever. And, not willing to do the work. I don't like him. I don't like. You don't like him. I mean, you married him. Is it got to be something you like about him? But anyway, that's why your intentions have to be in the right place. Check your intentions. Check yourself. Check where you are. Before you point your finger at your spouse, look at yourself. Because that's I do it often. Before when I find myself in this space where everything my husband's doing is getting on my nerves, I say, okay, man, hold up, take a step back. Check yourself. Are you doing stuff to get on his nerves? Probably so. So, just take a step back sometimes. Sometimes you be so ready. Oh, they closed the door too loud. Oh, the toilet. Oh, this. Oh, tissue. Oh, folding. Oh, with the dishes. Oh. What are you doing? That might be getting on their nerves. So look at yourself. Evaluate yourself too. And I think that if we were to approach people in love and have hearts of forgiveness, a lot of the world would be better. So, I know that's a lot, y'all. But I just wanted to share. I know I haven't had time to really sit with you guys and talk about me and what I have going on and what I'm doing. And so I just wanted a moment to kind of share where I am and what's going on with me. My life isn't this perfect storybook place, but I am very grateful for life and life more abundantly. And the last thing I guess I'll talk about is the fact that, there's been a lot of weight. A lot of people are heavy because there's been so many people committing suicide. And I've seen a lot of it on my timeline and on social media and stuff like that. And it is very heavy. And so, I just want people to know two things. For the person who's struggling, don't struggle in silence. If you need help or if you want to talk to somebody, please reach out. Suicide prevention hotline. I mean, there's so many resources. And I know some of us grew up in a church and, people always say, well, just take it to the Lord in prayer. And yeah, you can, but he also created these amazing people, therapists, also created these amazing people, advocates, and people who help stand in the gap for where you are and what you're doing. And so there are people who are, intentionally created to walk you through things. Here comes the 2-year-old, guys. I knew he was going to make his way. But, if you need help, don't be afraid to reach out. And so the other end of the spectrum is those of you that are, friends of people. Check on people. Check on them. See how they're doing. See what they need, or just tell them that you love them, or just tell them you were thinking about them, or that you're considering them, or that they were on your mind and you want to make sure that they're okay. Check on people. So I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to me. Hope you guys have enjoyed listening to me run my mouth. Jason, can I pray? You want to pray? Put your hands together. Okay. Put your hands together. You ready?
Yes.
Say, Dear God.
Dear God.
Thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day.
I love you.
I love you.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So God, we thank you. We thank you for the clarity it is that you give us. We thank you that our minds can think of you. Our eyes can see you. Our mouths can speak of you. Our ears can hear you. Our hearts can beat for you. The blood flowing through our veins can be for you. Our hands can be lifted to worship you. And we can walk within the footsteps that you have designed. And anytime we lay down to rest, then we will awaken, refresh, renew, and restore. This has been Mommy Mondays. Thanks so much for being with me. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
I'm sure she can tell me yes. Oh, it's still in her heart.
She's 7. You just help somebody.